Welcome back to Archero 2, guys, and today we'll talk about the best build for the beginners and free-to-play a bit. And yeah, guys, this is a debatable topic because depending on your skills, you might want to go for one or another set. So I will try to cover like the broad average, so it should fit for the most new players, and then you can adjust depending on where you are, just like how you can adjust this video performance by liking and subscribing to promote it in YouTube algorithm. Now with this segue out of the way, let's actually go to the content. So for the newer players, when you just start out, you just want to use what you have. Obviously, this is the easiest tip over here, and you would like to aim for something that you want, and we'll talk about that closer to the middle of the video. But early on, if you're lucky to get something of an S tier like I was over here, I managed to get the Dragoon ring and Dragoon armor from the chest and Dragoon crossbow from the event, and I decided to stick with those, and I don't regret it one bit, because those things give you additional stats and their effects are earlier. You can get them earlier. For normal sets that are not S tier, in order to get their effects, you need to get them to the legendary tier. It won't happen really fast, so you can use epic S tier equipment to get their bonuses, and that will be good for a while. So just get the best stuff that you can and use that. That's for the equipment. Now let's talk about the runes. For the runes, it's a bit more complicated because specific runes, especially at epic rarity and higher, they will give you bonuses to specific things that you get. But they also give you the basic stats that, well, probably that you want. But personally, depending on the build you're using, we'll talk about the builds a bit later. I'll cover them like really quick, and then we'll make a separate video on each build. So subscribe for that and let me know in the comments which build you would like to see the first and the most. Depending on your build, you might want to have different runes. So for example, if you're using the Archer build that's using the arrows and range damage, Sharp Arrow over here will be really good because it gives you main weapon damage, and this is really powerful to increase your bow attacks or staff attack, depending on what do you use. But the problem is you can't equip two runes of the same type, and that means that you gotta adapt, you gotta widen your build. So if you will increase the spin speed up rune, you won't be able to equip the second one. It will be here in the bottom, and you can only swap them around, and it goes for all the rarities, so you can only equip one rune of the same type. That means that you will have to pick the ones that works for your build, and I personally decided to build around the arrows, so this is my personal favorite, and then I picked the ones that will give me the most benefits to the skill that I usually pick during my runs, or that will give me more attack. So the thing is, we get the rare runes, right? They will give us 60 attack, but the epic runes will give us 80 attack, and also will give us some nice rune bonus that will be really useful. So prior to the epic, I will be selecting the skills based on the attack power mostly, because that's what I care, and all the blue runes, they have like the normal attack power bonus and the blue node power attack bonus, which helps. And for the bow build, it doesn't matter that much. I can go for the frost shock seal in order to get lightning and frost effect, and then there is a poison one as well somewhere here, and the burn that will actually increase the damage of fire and poison arrows quite a lot. So probably I'll go with those, and then we'll go with like whatever. So usually I try to stay away from the circles in my builds, which is totally different from what you might want to do. So I will go for, let's say, I don't know, sprites. So sprites can do more damage, and sprite damage for every extra sprites. They're not that great, but that will work for this build. But it might be different for you. If you're using the circles build, you want to take totally different approach, because this won't help you that much. Main arrow won't be your main source of arrow. You probably still want those things, but you would like to focus on the soul blade circle, for example, because this is very powerful. Circle bonuses that will give you speed, and then yeah, probably you would like to get the seal that will give you fire, poison, frost and lightning damage, because that works for the circles really well. So yeah, depending on your build, you will have different runes for you, and that works the same way for the ability runes. For the enchantment and ability runes, tune them to your preference and go for what you need based on the skills that you use. For the blessing rune slots, I prefer to get the Guardian because I take a lot of damage, and that will give me attack, max HP, attack power, and damage taken lower by percentage, which is pretty cool. And revive, because once again I take a lot of damage. I got lucky to get the epic revive, so I have a chance to freely resurrect once, and it's nice. Although, like, if you are good at evading the projectiles, pick the runes, the blessing runes that will give you attack power. So for example, so maybe even the Devil Pact, although once again, because I take a lot of damage, I try to avoid that. So yeah, pick those based on your needs, and once again, once you get to the epic rarity, you might want to actually think about it, because if you don't get the circle speed bonus, which is really powerful, you are getting only 15 additional circle attack damage, and if you get an epic rune, you will get 80 instead of 60 damage, so that's 20 extra attack powers, and it works for the circles as well. So probably you want to go for the higher tier rune unless you really aiming for specific bonuses. Once again, I will make a separate rune guide a bit later. We will cover all the runes and their combinations, so subscribe for that, and once again, let me know in the comments what do you want. In the last part of your build are characters. You can select different guys and they give you different bonuses, but early on for the beginners it doesn't matter that much. Braveheart is more for red heart drops, so for the people who take damage like me, while Nyanja is good with the movement speed bonus and kind of avoiding the projectiles. If you can utilize that, that will be good. Personally, I prefer the Braveheart because I can use the red hearts to increase my max HP and attack, so I usually run that one, but sometimes I switch them out because, well, because I can. Overall, Helix with its absolute counter would be the better option, because as you take more damage, it will increase attack. That's most of the things that you guys need, especially if you're good at evading. The rest of those guys are, well, harder to get and pretty much paid to win more or less, so we won't be getting them anytime soon. This is not the advanced build guide or something. We'll cover those in the specific builds. So yeah, we talked about the overall beginner guidelines. Now let's talk about the specific free-to-play friendly builds and other options, so I'll cover other builds as well. The first build that beginner would like to get are based on the Echo set, because Echo set is really good with the combo hits, and those are really easy to get, and that will increase your damage in all the situations. Combo set usually goes with the Beam Staff, and Beam Staff is actually pretty good free-to-play weapon unless you are lucky with the bow, and probably will be better than the bow at legendary rarity, because it will get this bonus, so it will increase crit rate up to 8%. Not that great, I know, but still, its effects in the combat are so much better because you can use Tracking Eye with the Beam Staff, and that will allow you to guarantee damage to the enemies with all your split projectiles, so Beam Staff is way to go. Although I prefer the crossbow, even if it's not that efficient, it will allow you to do more projectiles, and also it gets a chance to trigger an air explosion on hit and get blast damage, and it deals more damage as well. So overall, this one works better for me specifically. And if I want to get the beam options during the fight, I go for that specific legendary tier skill that will allow me, I think it's called beam or something, I don't know. You know that skill that requires charge, but it turns your weapon into the beam, and you can use the bow with that, and it works really well. So yeah, basically Echo armor set is a staple for the newer players, and Oracle set is like its better S tier version. All the equipment has, there are 3 types of equipment sets, and they have the non-S and S version, and S version is just better. So yeah, Echo is really good for the range damage and combos, which is good for long ranged attacks that will allow you to properly avoid the enemy hits and do a bit more single target damage. Then we get the Destruction set that works really well with the longbow and the crossbow as well, which will allow you to do AoE damage at the legendary tier, so that's good against multiple enemies and extra damage sometimes, but it still allows you to stay at the range. And then we have Deceiveness set that will give bonuses to you when you're closer to the enemy, and its weapon is Agile Knuckles, which is another thing that works really well in the close range. And there are better versions, Oracle, which is a better Echo set, then there is a Dragon Knight set, which is a better Destruction set, and Griffin set, which is a better Deceiveness set. So that's how it works And basically you can mix and match them. There are no set bonuses whatsoever. So if you get lucky and get some S tier stuff that you like, you can go to the Archero 2 wiki, the link in the video description, and take a look at those sets yourself to know what to expect. Because in the game there are no disclosure of the drops, so you have no idea what you will get unless you get your cycle. So let's talk a bit about the gear chest over here. Pick the one, always use the Midstone chest to pull the gear, and always pick the set that you really want. So right now we have the Griffin set, and I don't like the close range combat over here, so I won't go for it. But if it's your cup of tea, you can go for that. I think for the Griffin set, something like the circle build skills will work really well, because you are close to the enemy and those orbs rotating around you will do extra damage to the enemy, so it feels natural. While other sets will benefit more from the long range combat and skills and runes that will benefit your long range combat. There are also sword and sprite specific rune sets. I never tried them myself, but I feel that they are, like, personally, I feel they will be a bit inferior to your orb or bow builds, because those seems to be just so much better than the rest of them. So there we go, I created something like a ranged build over here for the runes, and let's give it a go. So I will explain you how you should pick the skills during your run, because it's important as well. So we have this area that I haven't finished yet, and once you decided on your build, you have to pick the skills properly, and you might not be lucky with the options over here. So none of those are really good for us. Let's get the Blaze Meteor, it's like best of those. As you pick the skills, pick the one that will benefit your build. If you decided to stick with the bow and arrows and you don't have anything for the orbs, for the circles, don't go for that, because that won't help you out that much, and you will most likely just waste your resources on that. Usually, you might want to go for two options at the same time. So, for example, right now we have the swords, strike potions thingies, and the arrows. So I kind of work with both arrow build and the sword, so they can kind of work together. And I have something else to pick if I don't get something what I need. So here we'll take the luck-based thing, because that will allow us to get better skills later on. Let's try to stay away from the enemies so we don't take damage. This build is completely different from the circle build, because in the circle build you want to stay close and personal. This one, you want to stay away, and this is what I like, because I don't like to stay close and personal with the enemies. Let's get weapon enhancement. Actually, it might be not that bad. Early on it might be lowering your damage quite a lot, but you will be more mobile, so you won't need to stay in one place, and you can pick up the potions and evade projectiles easier. Alright, so yeah, the problem of the arrow build, that its damage isn't that significant unless you get a lot of arrows, a lot of attack speed, and stuff like that. So over time it will get better and better, but if you want the crazy damage straight away, orb is your go-to option, because circle orb build will allow you to get pretty decent damage straight away, because the orbs will rotate right next to you, and you will be able to do decent damage to the enemies. But once again, in levels like this one, it's problematic, because you are so far away from the enemies, and your orbs, they will not reach the enemies, as simple as that, and that sucks. Another good thing about this floating crossbow, like an enhanced weapon thingy or enhanced one, that you will keep your combo. So if you have a lot of combo options, that will allow you to keep it up even when you are running around, because you will not have the breaks in the attacks. So your shots will always be shot, and well, hopefully they will always hit the enemies. And there we go. Now we get two pretty cool skills that are good for the circle build, but we don't want that, because in this level we're pretty far away from the enemies, and yeah, they won't really help us out. And there we go. I'm taking damage. As I told you guys, I'm always taking damage, so for me, something that requires very high evasive tactics and low health builds are not worth it, because I will just die. There we go. We're legendary. We'll take multi-shot. That really works well with the main weapon, so that will increase both combo chance and also the damage done to the enemies. So overall, it's a great skill. Not the best one out of the legendary ones, but the best one we could get right now. Let's see what we get right now. We get the Frost Arrow right now, or Invincibility Potion, depending on what do you want more. Because we have that enhanced arrows that will improve the frost, lightning, and other arrows, so they will be better. Here is our first boss, and it's a double boss, and those are snakes. This is painful. Let's try to do our best to do most damage to them. It's working okay. They don't really stand a chance so far. So, yeah, pretty decent. Right, let us kind of go through the skills if we'll get them. The thing that we need, how we build the skills during our run. The thing is, it's roguelike, so you are not guaranteed to get the skills that you want, so you might need to replay it a couple of times, and sometimes it sucks, but it adds some replayability to the game, so you will be able to replay the levels a couple of times to get different effects, so, you know, it's pretty cool. And by the way, guys, I'm playing this on the PC, and I recommend you doing that as well, because this is so much easier to control your character and avoid the enemy projectiles and stuff. And I use the LD player. You can get the link in the video description and the pin command. The account syncs pretty easily, and then you can just, you know, enjoy it. Let's get the lightning effect greatly enhanced. Probably movement speed would be better, and the dodge chance that will be a lifesaver in some situations. Avoiding that crazy damage we're taking is crazy useful, because, well, at the later stages we will be killed in 2-3 hits, and evading one of those hits, it matters a lot, like it helps a lot. But yeah, I kind of like to go pure damage. So let's see what we get here. There will go beam strike. That will turn our weapon into the laser. It will need charge time, but since we have the enhanced bow, it's not a problem because we move around. And damn, this is so cool, because first of all, wait, this is wrong. Is it the wrong skill? Oh yeah, this is a beam strike. Summon a sword strike that fires lasers periodically. I thought it's a normal beam stuff. Whatever, still good enough. Our strike swords are better right now. Pierce the enemies instead of just flying towards them, and always hit them, and they will do more damage as well, so that's pretty dope. Let's get the increase on attack power when we take damage, and once again, that's only good if you take damage. If you're really good at evading things, you don't need that. But I always take damage, so it will be useful. Alright, let's try to take out this boss without dying. Yeah, guys, I take a lot of damage. And the boss is defeated, so we're good. We get some healing here, and we can move on, and hopefully we'll get a Valkyrie, so we can get another upgrade of our skills. Some XP, alright. Another Valkyrie, let's see what do we get. Legendary? Yes. Do we get anything cool here? Yeah, energy beam. This weapon. Now that will change our normal attack into beam attacks, and that's very powerful because it pierces enemies, it does crazy damage, and overall, well, it never misses as well. So that's how I run usually. I just go to that energy beam instead of my arrow damage, and oh my god, the problem is, like, the more stuff you have on the screen, the easier it is to get hit, so try to avoid being hit, because that's very painful. And if you're low on health, sometimes when you get the angel and you don't have the boss bonus when you heal the boss, it's better to get the healing instead, because, well, yeah, otherwise the boss will just decimate you. It's better to survive a bit longer than just get a bit more damage. It's better to play it safe than sorry. And yeah, what's really cool that if you can move around, you'll be way more mobile, because usually the arrow build isn't the most mobile one. You really, most of the time, would like to stand on one ground, to stand and actually charge up your shots and just shoot the enemies. Now it's not necessary. Alright, here we go, the boss slayer. This is a pretty cool skill. Bounce arrow, split arrow, pierce arrow doesn't really help with the arrow build. You might seem that it's great, but it's not, because you need the auto tracking eye that will allow you to decimate the enemies. If you don't get that, well, I mean, you can still be okay, but it just won't be as good. Another Valkyrie, and we're close to the end already. Let's see what do we get here. Oh yeah, this is good. Attack speed and movement speed bonus, that will help since our attack speed was so much lower. Now, not the case anymore. We should have enough attack speed to destroy the enemies. Alright, some healing here. Just gotta avoid the damage now, and I'm taking all the hits, my god. Here we'll get the giant strength to get more attack, and a bit more max HP, so that will help. Angel, let's get max HP bonus, let's get the healing, and we're getting the final boss right now. Let's see how tough it will be. Oh my god, this area is so tiny. so hard to avoid projectiles. We should be okay. The boss is at 50% HP. We still have our resurrection if we need that, and that should be enough to take it out. There we go. So yeah, that's basically the arrow build that I'm using, and pretty much the beam build. If you use the beam staff though, you will get that beam attack from the start. It pierces the enemies, it gives you multiple attacks on one enemy, so it's sort of pretty cool. But since my weapon is higher damage, I prefer this one. So I won't showcase you the beam staff because it's the same as I got the beam skill basically. I will try to showcase you the knuckles though. So let's try to do that. And let's try to build the orb build right now. So we'll take all the orb abilities that we can and we will use that instead. Yeah, I really need more runes right now because I don't really have a lot of good runes for the orbs, but we'll try to do our best. So yeah, Ring of Agony, runes, orbs, all that stuff. Not the best one, not the best build ever, need more upgrades, but it will do. And we get totally different stuff right now. Good, well, not good, but something for your projectiles. Well, we want to use the circles, so yeah. So we use the knuckles now, and as you can see, they have their range. So this is same projectile damage, but a bit closer range. So you will be like nearby the enemies, but we get way higher basic stats with that, and we even get some knockback. So yeah, basically just makes us be really close to the enemy when we fight it. Circling Ice Orb or Boss Slayer. Boss Slayer seems to be a bit better, to be honest. This one is good as well. Let's get the Boss Slayer, so we will be able to get anything we want before the boss fight. And I don't like this build because right now we can't really take out the enemies. They are too far away. So we have to be really close to the enemies in order to damage them at all, which doesn't suit me great, but it allows us to take some abilities that lowers our range, but will still be just as good. And Invincibility Potion is really good for this build. That means that we can get close and don't worry about being hit sometimes. So that increases our chances of survival quite a lot. And yeah, basically with the Griffin set, you will get the bonus damage to the enemies and bonuses to your damage for the enemies that will be, I think, in this range. So it's really close, but it's really powerful as well. Let's get the Frenzy Potion. It will be attack and crit rate, which we don't really need. But still, since we're running around, we might be able to use it for extra DPS in some cases. We really need to get some orbs going as ASAP, but if we don't get them, and what can we do? Okay, boss is coming up, but now since we get the boss bonus, we can get the attack speed increase instead of the healing, because we will be healed automatically when the boss appears. And now we gotta be close to the boss as well. So when you're using this build, you gotta know the boss patterns, otherwise it will just decimate you, because boss attacks can be pretty brutal, and if it will hit you a couple of times, you will have issues. So yeah, it's really risky. High risk, high reward, let's put it like that, because the damage output is great as well, but you can get your ass beaten. By the way, if you need the boss guide, let me know in the comments, I'll make one. It will take a while because I need to fight all the bosses and kind of make a videos of that, which is hard because, yeah, because they are bosses, they do their random stuff, and sometimes it's not that easy to learn the patterns of avoiding the enemy damage. So yeah, my god, we barely made it. That was a hard and long fight, but we made it, so hopefully we'll get the orbs anytime soon, so we can actually utilize our benefits of our build. Yeah, that's the thing with all the builds, but the Archer build, that you might not get what you need. Let's get the laser orbs. Attack speed is nice, but yeah, we need to get the orbs soon, so they will do damage to the enemies. So yeah, as I said, like, you might not get lucky and you might not get what you need, but you always have your bow. That's why, I think that's why I like the bow build, because you already have what you need. You get all the basics. Not everything, but you get the starters. So you can always take out the enemies, bosses with your normal attacks instead of relying on something that you don't really get. So yeah, basically the close range orb build requires you to be way smarter and more careful and know the enemy patterns, because you... Okay, again, some random stuff. Because you really need to know how to avoid the enemy attacks, otherwise you will be beaten. Anything? Legendary. Give me the orbs. Multi-shot. I'll get the max HP right now. Multi-shot is nice, and since we don't get the orbs, that will be our main source of damage, but more HP means we won't be dying that fast, because I already kind of wasted all my health that I had, so yeah, that will help. Oh my god, I died. But we got our free revive right now, so we are still alive and kicking. Moreover, this is a harder stage, and I haven't really picked the good weapon. We had the epic +2 S tier gear, and now we have the normal weapon, so yeah, of course it's harder. There we go, the last boss, we survived. Barely. I wonder if I'll be able to beat it with this build. It will be really nice, but I doubt it. I'll probably die. Yeah, we're not really lucky with the circles right now. We're level 6 already. A poison circle, let's get this one. So we'll get more circles, more DPS, more effects on the enemies, so that will help a lot. For that, we had only one, and it had no elemental effects as well. At least the poisoned enemies, they will take damage over time, so eventually they will die. Valkyrie, give me something for the orbs. Multi-shot and attack power. Let's get attack power. I think it works for the orbs as well, since they scale from your normal attacks. Not from your normal attacks, but from your attack power, right? New skill. Attack speed, distance, everything sucks. No! Alright, let's get the attack speed. Maybe that will help us somehow. We managed to survive till the third boss so far. Let's see how this one will go. Oh, this is bad. But yeah, if you're careful enough, you will be able to pretty much exploit the enemy by using the potions, by attacking it with your normal attacks, and if you know its attack patterns, you can totally avoid that and still do decent damage to the enemy without taking too many risks, let's put it like that. So, orbs are really good anti-boss weapons against the most bosses. Some bosses are just horrible, and you won't be able to avoid them that easily. So they require very strict timings, and orbs can be painful over there. Next skill. No orbs again. Oh my god, this is so bad. Like, that's what I'm talking about. If you are unlucky with the orb build, you will probably be killed. I mean, at the same time, if you're using the bow and you will be unlucky and you will get a couple of orb skills when you don't need them, you will probably be dead as well, but okay, I'm dead. But yeah, I guess you get the idea that different builds will have different gameplay style for you, and you have to try them all to find the one that suits you better. Let me know what kind of build would you like to see first, because I kind of like the orb and close range build as well, but I don't have the gear for that. And I really like the long range build, which I use all the time myself. So as you can see, the damage output of this weapon is way more than output of this weapon. And we don't really even get the bonuses of the knuckles, which will give more damage to closer distance enemies, so you need the full set in order to fully utilize the build bonuses. So yeah, let's sum it up. For the newer players, use what you have, test everything, then go for the build that you want. The most free-to-play friendly one is Echo Armor plus the Beam Staff, because those can be crafted for free-to-play players. Later on, I will actually have to go and switch from the Dragon Crossbow to actual Beam Staff, because I won't be able to upgrade my crossbow to the Legendary unless I'll get more copies of it. And I actually want to go for, like, you know, the Echo set and everything like that. So yeah, then there are 3 types of armor sets, 3 types of weapons that kind of corresponds to 3 different builds that you will use. So pick one of those, and once you know what you want, then you would like to spend your diamonds pulling the equipment, because as you can see, those things will be really useful. So for the close range, the Griffin set, higher crit damage up to 36% at the close range. Crit rate increases with nearby monsters. Crit damage increases with more nearby monsters. Deal damage over time to enemies within 7 meters. Counter with 2 times more damage to nearby enemies when damaged, which you really don't want to do, but still pretty cool. And there are more bonuses later down the road for close range combat, so it's up to you what to go for. But now you know what options do you have, and I hope this video will be useful for you. Once again, let me know in the comments what kind of guides do you want me to make. I will make them. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and thank you very much for watching. Check out the video description, pin comment for the links, LD player, wiki, a playlist with the rest of the videos, and that's about it for now. It's been Kosh, have a good one. Bye.